What? What's up, and welcome to the Cold Feet Podcast. I'm your host today, Sean. I'm in the ice bath for the second hour in a row, but since it's a nice summer day, the ice has already defrosted and it's not that bad. And I want to welcome my friend Kianna. Is that what you go by?
Yep.
Sweet. Who I know from our Make Moves mentorship that we did together to really delve into the topic of women and weightlifting and women and strength training, why it's important out there. So, Kianna, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Kianna. So I'm from Ontario, Canada. I'm a fitness coach with Orange Theory Fitness, and then on the side, I do my own like mobility training. Yeah.
Wow. So, first of all, thank you so much for coming to the show. And for those who don't know, you can find Kianna on her Instagram, which is
At Kianna Gnap.
sweet. She is a phenomenal athlete. She has tons and tons of knowledge in the strength world, in the mobility world. I myself, as a strength coach, have learned tons from her, especially about mobility. And I couldn't think of a better candidate of someone that I wanted to discuss the whole women and lifting stuff than her, because I see her journey and I see how much she puts into, being the strongest, most badass woman out there. So let's just set it up. How do we break the myth that lifting weights does not make women bulky, and women should be lifting or at least some form of resistance training just like men should be?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for saying all that, Sean. You're awesome. So yeah, I think when people hear weightlifting, they automatically like go to the extreme side of things. So they think they gotta like pack on 500 pounds on a barbell. So that's just like something that we do. We just go to the extreme. And yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's out there. You can look. There's so many articles about like weightlifting does not make you bulky. And yeah, it just comes with that education, I guess, at first, and it's a lack of knowledge, I guess. So you need if you have a coach that can steer you in the right direction of how to train properly when you start lifting weights, then that makes a huge difference. Because if you just go in a gym on your own, you're like, you just see all these machines, all these dudes lifting, massive amounts of weights, then you're gonna think that's exactly what you have to do, and that's just false. Yeah.
I'm kind of hearing that there's a very huge intimidating factor. So, like, I'm a woman, I go into the gym, and it's especially the weightlifting part is just dominated by men. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So, it's kind of
And
like women don't feel welcome in the weightlifting part of the section. Do you resonate with that? Could you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I haven't been to a big box gym in a while, like in a couple of years, just because I work out at Orange Theory mostly, and then like at home, and then plus I mean with the pandemic and everything. But even I like even a couple of years ago, like I get like those little nerves like walking into the weight room too, and like I've been doing this for a while. Like it's still there, but yeah, that's definitely a huge factor for it. Yeah, for sure, that intimidation part. Yeah.
I think we also have to delve into a little bit of how modern gyms came about. So the modern gym with the barbells and the dumbbells and the machines were mostly influenced by the bodybuilding era. That was like 70s, 80s, the likes of Steve Reeves and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And these were people who made the average dude and dudette, but mostly dudes, start wanting to lift iron so they could look like a Greek god or goddess. As we started transitioning as people and educators, we realized that bodybuilding is like not the most functional way for the average dude or dudette. But the people who are role models were men. Arnold Schwarzenegger, these kind of people. And there's many, many badass functional women out there who are very muscle bound, looking like any of the CrossFit athletes who are role models for many men and women out there. But the image of like this buff dude is associated in many people's minds, both men and women, as, okay, I'll lift weights for a few years and I'll look like that. No, you won't. Even if you're a guy on lots of, supplements and eating well and sleeping well, you won't look like that in 3 years. You won't look like that in 10 years. And if you're a woman, you will never look like that. Now,
Yeah.
the next question is, I work a lot with females. I work, with the Israeli national team in women's flag football. I work a lot with female athletes of very top tier. Some are very muscly or muscle bound.
Mhm.
Some of them say, "What do you mean?" I see all these like CrossFit athletes who are just super muscly and look like dudes. So like, what do we respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, it takes time and it's a very exact like science almost. Like my sister's a bodybuilder. And yeah, it's just crazy. Like you have to be working out in a very specific, like progressive overload kind of fashion. And then you have to be taking in your macros like to a T. And like it's a crazy science really. And it's not the most sustainable way to go about it. Like you're at your peak for a certain amount of time, especially if you're going to be like doing the show, and then yeah, you can't really sustain it. But yeah, like with those CrossFit athletes and stuff, it doesn't happen overnight. Like people think they're gonna lift the weight and then like overnight they're gonna wake up and like just be jacked, but like these athletes are doing it for years and years and years, and yeah, it's a dedication thing for sure. What would
Well,
you say?
it kind of, I mean, it kind of gives us a dilemma. Let's kind of spread it out. On the one hand, as coaches, we're saying lifting weights won't make you bulky. Don't worry. Strength train as much as you want. But on the other spectrum of things, what you just said, and it's correct, is wait, if you do dedicate yourself to the craft and you do train and you do eat your macros and you do sleep and you do recover properly, you will get, bulky. I mean, bulky is subjective, yes, but you will get bulky and
Yeah,
you will
exactly.
grow
Yeah.
large, quote, manly muscles. So, can we like draw the picture clearer here for our audience?
Um, like of what it looks like. You mean like?
I mean, okay, so I'm a woman. I'm not a woman, but like in this day and age, you can identify
Yeah.
as whatever you want, right? I can identify as a train station if I want. I can identify as myself in a hot bath instead of an ice bath. Like, okay, I'm a woman. I don't like the word toned, right? I think it's a
Yeah,
silly
right, yeah,
concept. Like whoever
yeah,
made up the term is silly, but
yeah.
I want to get toned. I want to develop those glutes. I want to look good for the beach. Like just an average dudette who just, let's say a
Mhm.
classic woman. I'm sure there's many women out there such as you who just want to be freakishly strong and do pistol squats on whatever with weight.
Yeah.
But so we have to address her fears as coaches. We're not just trainers, we're mentors. So we are going to resistance train with her. But how do we but she's making a valid claim and she's saying that, what do you mean? You just told me that if I do work hard in my craft, so if I keep training, then I will get bulky and I will get muscly. So like, how can we explain what the long-term process is to get to that muscly point, or the long-term process of constantly training and never getting to that manly muscly point?
Yeah. So it's based on the goals that you have, because again, you're not just because you lift weights every day and you're training every day in any fashion doesn't mean you're going to get to that point of looking like that CrossFit athlete. They're training specifically for that, therefore it leads them to that physique. So yeah, communicate with your coach. And there's so many ways to train like resistance training that they don't all lead to like that bulky, again, it's subjective, bulky physique. Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure, you can do it. It's going to look different for everyone. Not every woman with muscles looks exactly the same. Again, it's all subjective and it's based on your program and your goals and what your coach is going to do with you, basically.
Yeah, I mean, really to define it further, if you do any form of training, especially strength or any form of resistance training, remember strength training is not just, kettlebells, dumbbells, or barbells. It's any form of applying load to your body, whether it's your body weight, whether it's picking up rocks in your garden, something that's going to slowly, progressively overload your muscles. It will build muscle, especially if you're a noob. So like in the first 6 months to a year, like I have female clients that I work with, be like, whoa, like I see muscles in my arm, like I never saw that before, or like my hamstrings. And it's like, yeah, that's part of the process of building muscle, and that's normal. What a bodybuilder is, and once again, going back to that like muscle bound Arnold Schwarzenegger that I actually have a big poster of in my gym. So that's years and years and years of dedicating yourself to the craft of physique. physique, meaning they're not inherently trying to be the strongest person out there. They're not inherently trying to be the most functional person out there. They're trying to be the most aesthetic, most muscle bound athlete. And both males and females have to apply themselves for years to get to that point. And females have a disadvantage. They have less testosterone, they have less growth hormone. And the way most female, I do have some athletes who have higher testosterone levels and they are more athletic. They do have muscle than the average dudette because of that, even if they're at the same level, even if they're training at the same level as other females. But they're gonna have that disadvantage. They can train like the dude, and they just won't be as muscle bound as him unless there's anabolic steroids and other hormones at play. Do you feel that there's any other differences between like the male and female athlete when it comes to aesthetics or physique besides lower hormone levels?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the point right there. Like, I'm not an expert at that kind of stuff, but no, yeah, I'd agree with that, especially with the hormone levels and stuff. That's definitely. And then, yeah, again, you see every individual is different. So, yeah, you see some women who are just more prone, like they can like pack on muscle like so well than others that don't, or, in different areas, some women can like get that six pack, like or just like naturally, and some, it's definitely harder. And that's a whole other side of things too, with the female body and six pack and stuff. But yeah, I think you hit that point well, yeah.
It's really the same as men. Some men will be more predominant to, grow larger chest muscles or larger shoulder muscles. Some of them will be more dominant in their glutes and hips. Every human being, both men and women, have different genetics that are going to decide what they're going to be good at, where they're going to be, which muscles are going to, gain the most hypertrophy and grow the fastest possible. And women are the same. Women's bodies follow the same exact rules of progressive overload and training. And, some have a 4-pack, some have a 6-pack, some have a 0-pack and still be ridiculously strong and muscular. But as we said before, they do have that lower testosterone level, which means they will grow plenty of muscle and they can be just as strong as dudes subjectively, meaning like in a competition per body weight. There's a reason why there's women's competitions and men's competitions because of these hormonal differences. They just might have a little bit of a slower process of gaining strength and muscle because of these reduced testosterone levels. And unfortunately, the way women are viewed in the lifting world. Like if a guy gives a class, if someone gives a class to women in a typical gym, we'll be like, all right, let's do like a Zumba Pilates class. Why shouldn't it be a strength training class? And that's our fault. That's our fault as coaches and as trainers, not like you and me, but as a society, we've developed like, oh, okay, women have to have, the booty and the thighs and men have to have like the chest and biceps. That's utter bullcrap. That's not true. And the more people out there, such as you, spreading the message, the better. And now we kind of get to delve in into subjectiveness. Who decided that a bulky woman is ugly? Who decided that a muscle-bound woman isn't pretty? Like, I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, good question. Who decided that? The media? Yeah, and I think it's changing though. Like, you do when you walk into a gym, it's like really crowded with women, and which is awesome. And yeah, aesthetics are changing. Like it used to be, like that thin, just like that thin aesthetic that everyone was going for, and then like now it's all the booty and the hips and stuff. So like it changes throughout time. So you can't win because like what was desirable one era is like it changes and now everything comes back around. But yeah, the whole gym scene has like really exploded, for sure, and like the more athletic body type as well, and possibly that's with like more popularity of sports and again the media, and like we're seeing more women do like insane crazy feats in the athletic world. So that's really awesome.
I am happy. I do think that strong is the new skinny, probably largely due to CrossFit. Actually, I think they did an amazing thing and really first of all, they brought weightlifting to mainstream people. Like you would have never seen someone like clean and jerking in a gym. I mean, very, very rarely, with exception of like, weightlifters. Now you'll see any random dude doing it. but they brought the world of strength training to women. It wasn't like, oh, let me go on my treadmill for 45 minutes and maybe I'll do a quick circuit on the machines. Now it turned into, hell yeah, I'm going to snatch 60 kilo above my head because I can, because it's glorified in CrossFit. Like it's a good thing. So hell yeah to CrossFit for doing that. And just the general culture towards women lifting. Like there's so many female powerlifters out there these days, casual, who deadlift and squat heavy. There's also so many more, especially here in Israel, a lot of women who are like calisthenics based, who are doing, handstands and handstand push-ups and pull-ups, and not scared of getting muscle bound and breaking that stigma and breaking that fear of like, ooh, I'm gonna get muscly.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, because CrossFit kind of really exploded, and yeah, everyone wanted that A ability and B that look. Like they're just badass like athletes.
Hell yeah. I mean,
amazing.
what's funny is that CrossFit, once again, I did my first podcast episode ever was on CrossFit. So I have my like
Yeah,
pros and cons in it. I'm not the
I know,
biggest
yeah.
fan. Oh, you're familiar with my like methodology?
Yeah.
Oh, you've heard me speak about it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice, amazing. Anyways, I think it's a beautiful thing, and the topic here is not CrossFit, but at the same time, being a functional training coach and athletic development coach, my goal is function. CrossFit is functional, but for what? Like for what end? Yeah, I can flip tires and do handstands and kipping pull-ups. Okay, great. Are you gonna kill it at life? Are you gonna play tackle football better? Maybe. You know what I mean? That's a different topic for a different time. But with that being said, the CrossFit athletes, especially the elite ones, they can walk onto a bodybuilding stage and win. Like they have, both the women and the men, they have insane physiques. So it just shows that when you train smartly, correctly, lift heavy weights, the physique will come. A couple more things I want to delve in, especially in like the women who lift world. Sarah, my wife, was telling me that her whole life she was told women aren't strong. Like, no, you can't do push-ups. That's not what women do. So she went ahead and like, now she's like bench pressing 80 kilo, but
Yeah.
she's pretty dope. But it ties back into like the society has been deciding what women get to do. Why do women have to be cardio bunnies? Why do women should be lifting weights just like men, should be resistance training just like men. There is a little bit of discrepancy between upper body and lower body strength, tying back into the hormone thing. So women may have more trouble, doing a pull-up than a man will. If you take a man and woman of the same age, of the same physical attributes, they will struggle. But a woman could be able to do a pull-up just like a man, and she should. And people have to stop telling themselves that they can't. If you're a woman who's never done a pull-up before, try hanging on the bar, see what's up. Over time, progress to a scapula pull, which is just, bringing your shoulder blades back and down in a locked position, and then, progressively overload the body like anything else. Something that upsets me is just a client of mine walked in the gym a few weeks ago, and it kind of like inspired this episode. And she's like, the guys are like, why are you training by Sean? You want to get all muscly? It's like, what do we tell her to respond to them?
Say if you train with Sean, you can get muscly too.
Like, hey, that's a good response.
So it's just, yeah, I know it's really silly. And like I'm fortunate, I grew up not thinking like no one told me I couldn't be strong. Like I'm from that. Like I have two other sisters, so a house with a lot of female energy in it, and like really athletic parents. And yeah, just pushed to do sports, and well, not even pushed, like just by example. And yeah, I never thought like I couldn't, because I was a girl, like I could keep up with the boys in my class and like whatever. It wasn't like a big thing, but yeah, so there's that aspect too. Unfortunately, some different areas, different cultures, or just however you grew up, yeah, can feed you different information, and then it just really sucks. And yeah, you just gotta surround yourself with people who, yeah, will push you and support you, especially, yeah, with your fitness goals.
I mean, that's a really beautiful thing. It's a blessing to grow up in an athletic family who pushes you to your limits and is accepting of you with all endeavors. my wife grew up religious, like Jewish Orthodox, and
Mhm.
in those circles, it's frowned upon when obviously when as young girls, they take up ballet and a lot of like feminine sports, which is
Mhm.
totally cool. But it was frowned upon if they would like want to play sports with the boys. It wasn't encouraged, which is really sad because what an 8-year-old who starts suddenly not 8 years old, at 12 years old, and you start suddenly I don't know the right term for it, suddenly living life and exploring yourself and exploring what you like. Oh, you can't go horseback riding, it's not modest. Or you can't
Mhm.
ice skate, or you can't play football. What do you mean? I want to play basketball with the boys. Like that shouldn't be a problem. And I don't think it's just
Yeah.
in the Jewish circles. I think it's worldwide phenomenon of where like girls go do ballet and dance, and the guys go to the
Mhm.
gym and play football. Like I think that's bullshit. And whoop, I cursed. Whoopsies. And
No.
I train both the men's national team and the women's national team. And I hope they're listening to this episode. The women are better, stronger, faster, more dedicated, more committed, and way more respectful. And they're just so much more dedicated to their craft. Like men have this
Yeah.
ego thing. And I'm speaking on behalf of all the men who identify as men. I did a different podcast on transgender athletes, a little cameo there.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, men are like stubborn, like, oh, who's this coach? Like, I go to the gym 4 times a week. Like, he doesn't know what's best for me. Women are like, at least the women I work with, athletes, like, of course, like, yeah, whatever you say. Oh, you want us to lift weights? Yeah, we'll lift weights. You want us to run? Okay, we'll run. You want us to mobility? We'll do it. It's just this dedication. I've seen this pattern again and again in female athletes, and I think it's because, and I'd love to hear you chime in on this, because women are at a little bit of a disadvantage because they are I don't want to say inferior race. I'm not sexist, but how could I say it?
I know what you mean. Just like biologically, like
Yeah, because they're
yeah,
I
that's the
don't like
way
the word
it
weak.
is.
Because they're biologically a little bit less strong, and because they're looked down upon by society when it comes to like the strength world, so they have to work harder, almost like a prove yourself thing, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to work harder. No, I'm going to be the most badass person out there. No, yeah, I'm going to win. Yeah, I'm going to be the best athlete. Like they're willing to dedicate themselves more to the craft because A, it doesn't come naturally to them, and B, because society doesn't let it come naturally. So they have to work even harder to get there, which is why I see this like work ethic. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, no, it's interesting. I was kind of gonna say the same thing about like, yeah, kind of like we're like, oh, I gotta like, push myself even further. And then it's interesting because yeah, you obviously work with a lot of women, so it's interesting that you see that trend there, and I'm kind of happy to hear that. Yeah, that.
I mean, women are dope.
um,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just no, go for it. I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah.
I mean, not even just in the athletic population, but even with like women I'm training. Some of them are more of the NARPs. NARPs coined by our good friend Colin. Non-athletic
Yeah,
regular people. It's a term I've been using a
I
lot
love
of.
it. Yeah.
It's a term I'm using a lot of my podcasts. So I this woman come to me. The same woman who was complaining about the guys. So she came to me to train for this 2-month hike that she was doing across Israel. It's from Metudela all the way to Eilat, which is a 2-month trek with weight on your back. So we're talking like 10 to 20 kilo. Do they use kilo in Canada?
Yes and no.
Okay,
We use
but you're
both. I know
familiar with
it is.
kilo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So like, good 15% of her body weight. And she like never really walked with weight before. So we spent a lot of time strength training. We spent a lot of time mobilizing. And obviously she worked her way up to like, weighted rucks and running and walking, getting used to all the different terrain she'd expose herself
yeah.
to. And she was like, yeah, I was up in front of the guys with the guys the entire hike. And they started calling her, I won't mention her name just for privacy reasons, but they started calling her like her name with the guys. Like, let's say her name was Kia. So like Kianna, the guys, like she's always with the guys. And I'm like, that's the way it should be. There shouldn't be a discrepancy between men and women when it comes to like hiking and running and walking. And the only reason there is because in competitive sport, back to what we just spoke about, testosterone levels, and in casual sport, because women are constantly being everything we mentioned, being put down almost, that no, you shouldn't go to the gym. Why not? I know I'm repeating the theme again and again, but it's just coming up in every conversation. Women, and just to clarify it, should be lifting weights and resistance training and mobilizing just like men. There was absolutely no difference whatsoever. And it's sad that in 2021 that the myth is still there. And what can we do as coaches? How do we break this myth? What can we do as human beings to like get rid of that myth once and for all that women can't get strong or shouldn't lift weights in any form or manner?
You just gotta keep talking about it, and yeah, just keep talking about it and spewing the information, and hopefully it overpowers these silly myths. Yeah. Um, and you're so right. Like it's the same reason. Like why should women be lifting weights? The same reason why men should lift weights. The same reason why anyone should lift weights. It's the most effective way to train your body for if you're whether obviously if your goal is increased strength or weight loss. Like it's known. Increase your muscle mass, and then that's the key, really.
So that really takes us into the whole realm of increasing muscle mass and body composition, specifically among women. So here's where it's going to get a tiny bit physiological. Unlike what most people think, fat does not convert into muscle and muscle does not convert into fat. What happens is your body takes the food that you eat, and based on your lifestyle, it depends on how many calories you're eating, based on is there enough muscle breakdown or enough progressive overload to ensure that my body needs this energy for food. You build muscle and you can potentially gain fat or lose fat. Now, there's muscle and then fat goes on top of it. So what I've seen commonly happen with women, especially women who lift, and this is perhaps another reason why the myth exists, because women naturally have higher levels of body fat. We didn't really delve into this yet because of certain essential organs that are used for reproduction and childbirth and breastfeeding. So because women have these natural higher body fat levels, their body will always try to maintain that state of homeostasis, which is a fancy way of saying like a neutral state, at a higher body fat. So if a woman starts lifting weights and she starts building muscle, but she doesn't change up her nutrition or movement lifestyle to help her bring down her body fat levels a bit, then she will build muscle, but all that fat, or not all that fat, but whatever body fat they have will still be on top of the muscle. So they might think they're getting bulkier. What's actually happening is they're building muscle, and like a dude or like anyone in the world, including animals, they're just not doing anything to reduce their body fat. So it gives them that more like, I don't want to call it puffy because it's not a nice term, but like it may give them a larger appearance. Like they might feel their clothes are tighter on them, but the reality is they're just building muscle, and then they have to recomposition or lose body fat like men out there. Would you agree with that?
No, I agree with that. Yeah, because people are. I mean, you will when you start a workout program that includes resistance training. It's very likely that you will find your weight goes up, but that's because you're building muscle. Or you might find that your weight stays the same, but like your clothes fit better. So it's like, yeah, it can go either way. And like we deal with that at Orange Theory too. We have like an in-body scanner now, so that our members can like hop on there. And so when every 6 weeks, you can kind of track your progress and see like, yeah, my muscle mass went up, my weight's the same. And then it'll show that your body fat percentage went down. So like, yeah, body composition is huge. And I don't weigh myself hardly ever, like maybe once a year. Because again, as a woman, your weight, like I fluctuate probably 15 pounds easy throughout the year. Like, but my clothes fit all year round, like, you know what I mean? But my weight fluctuates like that. So it's all body composition. It means everything, how you feel. Yeah, weight, just, I think people say that like it's just a number, and it totally is, because it looks different on different people. And yeah, it's a crazy mind game, really.
Yeah, I mean, weight is a number. So take that scale and chuck it out the window. And moving on for a moment from body composition, remember, as we said, muscle weighs, muscle mass is large to the extent of when you build muscle, when you get stronger, you are building a physical, I don't want to say item, but you're building something physical on your body. So it's normal that your arms, that your legs, that your butt is growing. And if you want to get that more lean, I don't even want to say feminine appearance, because I think a muscular woman is an attractive woman, and not a muscular woman is also an attractive woman. Like, I don't really care. But if you want to get that, fitness model or beach body. I don't even like these. I don't even like what we're delving into now.
Yeah,
But if you want to look good, if you want to look good and you want to look, like muscular, you have to resistance train. You have to build muscle and then play around with your diet and your movement, up your caloric expenditures throughout the day to reduce the body fat. With all that being said, and this past minute, it's not really my style because I focus on performance. I
yeah,
believe that when you perform, when you train, and when you resistance train, and you focus as much as possible as constantly getting better and acquiring new skill sets, like a pistol squat, like a pull up, like a Bulgarian split lunge jump, you will see the results. And the less you obsess, and specifically for both men and women, obviously, we suffer from eating disorders, mental health issues, both men and women. But since we're speaking about women and lifting, when you focus less on body composition and less about the scale and less about your clothes fit and less about how you'll fit into the dress by that wedding and focus more on performance. I want to feel good in the gym. I want to break a new PR in the squat. I want to run a little faster. The results will come because if you're constantly getting better at the gym, it means that your body composition is improving, your aerobic capacity is improving, your ability to fire up more nerves, which is exactly what strength training is improving. And then your body will just change and you won't be obsessed about your body image as much because you're not worrying about the scale, you're not worrying about the number, you're focusing on performance. That's how I approach it, but I would love to hear your approach as well.
yes. No, I agree with all of that, and I'm definitely the same way. Even one of my friends, she asked me, she's like, I've been working out for so long. She's like, I look the same, and should I just stop? Why am I doing this if I look the same? And I was kind of switch your mindset to more goal focused. So what skill or goal do you want to achieve? And again, everything else kind of falls into place. At one point she was working on getting better at push-ups, or what do you want to run a mile and focus on those things, and then and actually being someone who can do things rather than look like you can do something. You know what I mean? Which is again what you train your athletes for. So yeah, focus on the skill, and then everything else kind of falls into place. And it's so much better on your mental game, because again, I used to be obsessive over the scale, and it sucks and it ruins you. And then once you forget about that and be like, no, I want to do a pistol squat. I want to run a mile in this time. I want to be able to squat this much. It's just it changes your attitude towards it, and then things just kind of fall into place. Yeah.
It also really ties into having a goal. Like when we say acquiring a skill or working on your mile or your pistol or your push-up, it's about having a goal. And if I did a case study I've been training people for, I think, over 7 years, on all the people who have seen success on my programs, both online and in person, the people who have seen the most success are people who had the most clear, concise goals. Okay, we'll reflect back to this mysterious woman. Sean, I want to be able to hike for 2 months with a pack of 15 kilo on my back. That is the most specific it can possibly get. Now, as a coach, I have to understand what her needs are. Okay, so when I hike, I'm going to be exposed to different terrains. I'm going to be going uphill, downhill. I might roll my ankle. I might be hiking in the heat. I might be hiking in the cold. I have to understand how the pack is sitting on her back, and what muscles are going to be at play when she walks carrying things. And once I connected all the dots, we were able to get her to, obviously she had a lot of homework, but we were able to get her there in a month's time. Whereas if someone comes to my gym and says, I want to lose weight or I want to feel better, that's a very vague goal. So obviously I or you or any coach out there can help them get to their goal. But what is the goal? That's such a vague goal. It's hard for me to help. I divide goals into vanilla goals and chocolate goals. Vanilla goals are like, I want to lose weight. I want to get strong. I want to feel good. Chocolate goals are, I want to be able to do a pull-up. I want to be able to do a pistol squat. I want to be able to get into, let's say in the Israel, where it's very popular to draft to elite units for both men and women. I want to be able to get into this unit. So once again, the coach has to apply his knowledge of what sports specific skills are needed in this unit or in this sports team to get there. But without those goals, you won't get anywhere. And when a client of mine comes, usually like a NARP type, without a goal, I try to encourage them to get a goal. They'll be like, okay, I want to get stronger. I'll be like, okay, you want to get stronger. What have you always wanted to do? Well, I wanted to do a pull-up. Okay, great. We have one goal, a pull-up. And I've always wanted to be able to carry my groceries home from the store without stopping. Good. the more specific your goals will get, the easier it is for a coach to take you there. So for all the athletes and people out there who go to coaches or are interested in going to a coach, be specific with them. And if you're not specific with them, you can work with your coach one-on-one to help you get to little milestones and big milestones, because those are the biggest steps that you can take to get to your goal. Remember, without a goal, you're not going to achieve it because there's simply no goal.
Yeah. No,
That's
yeah. And yeah. And how do you track your progress or how you're feeling or how you're doing without that goal in mind? And yeah, it's super important that your coach asks that and you're working towards something rather than nothing.
Yeah. I would love to hear more about your personal story. Like, I know you're a mobility goddess and you just recently hit your pistol squat milestone. So
Yeah.
congratulations. So can you just delve in? Like, I know you played volleyball, gymnastics. I don't even hear. Give us the whole rundown.
Yeah. So I did gymnastics from the age of 3 to 16. I competed for like 5 years. I grew up, so my dad was a national team wrestler, and my mom was a gymnast and then a fitness instructor. Totally surrounded by fitness and athletics. Grew up doing gymnastics. So quit that in in the middle of high school, and then I didn't really do anything for a couple of years, and then I took up running because I fell into that trap of cardio, cardio bunny. But I do really like running. I probably started with it for an unhealthy reason, just because I thought that's what you do. But no, I still continued running throughout university and after, just all recreationally. Wasn't on a team or anything. Got my personal trainer certification after university, did some more school, and then said, screw the academic world, I'm going to be a fitness coach. And then, used my personal training certification rather than my 2 degrees. And now...
Classic.
And now I'm a fitness coach at Orange Theory. Ran a marathon in 2019, and I kind of effed up my foot. So then I got into the Foot Collective and mobility to kind of help heal myself. And I got that bare feet too. There you go. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's kind of my story. Yeah.
Wow.
And lifting happened in there too.
Say it again.
Sorry, lifting happened in there too.
So how did you go? And I want this message to go out to all the women out there who are still running countless hours in the treadmill, not really getting anywhere, not getting the body they want, not getting the results they want, and just not happy with their body. I know there's a lot of mental philosophies in there as well, but how did you transition from the traditional cardio bunny to the woman who's on my podcast today, who's like, yeah, lift weights, man, / woman?
Yeah, I guess because I was putting a lot of work in, but didn't really feel strong. And that was frustrating, or it didn't last. Just doing hours of cardio. And then it's like, duh, well, she took up a weight. And just wanting to feel more empowered and wanting to feel stronger and look stronger. It's just so awesome when things start happening. Like you can do multiple push-ups in a row on your toes. You can do a pull-up, and the results last longer, and you look better and feel better. And then you actually become stronger at things like running, because you have to be strong to run. That's kind of what did it for me.
Could we dive into a little bit about why just doing endless cardio won't get you to the goal or body that people are out there looking to get?
Yeah, I think cardio will burn calories, but it's the muscle mass. Having more muscle mass burns more calories because it takes more energy to sustain having a body that has more muscle. So that's a huge thing to understand and learn about that. And again, that's something that we have to tell our members at Orange Theory a lot, that gaining muscle is definitely what you want to do to help your body kind of increase its metabolism and its capacity. So, would you agree?
Muscle mass is awesome. Not just for the aesthetics, like not just, oh, because I have nice biceps or a nice booty, but as Kianna said already, increases your resting metabolism. So both me and Kianna are sitting now. I'm in an ice bath. Kianna will be in an ice bath eventually, hopefully.
One day.
One day, yeah. One day we'll also jump on the train. And because we're both muscular individuals, so we are both burning more calories at rest than the average person, which is good for you. It's not efficient for your body. And if you're in an island, in Madagascar and you're starving to death, you probably don't want to have much muscle mass because then you'll need more food to keep you survive, or your body will strip away your hard-earned muscle to feed itself. But for an active, healthy human being, muscles are energy expensive. They need more calories to fuel them. And besides the fact that they're nice and aesthetic looking, because society decided that, by the way, if society decides that we should all look like obese zombies, then that's just how we'll have to look. But it's functional. When you have muscles, it's usually, not always, it's usually saying something about your ability to survive, about how strong you are, and how mobile you are, and how powerful you are, and will you be able to outrun or outfight the lion when he tries to eat you, if you think of it that way.
Interesting. Yeah.
So before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add to our audience? Maybe a message out there for all the women who are, starting their journey, or?
Yeah. I guess I feel like we touched on like aesthetic a little bit, but I just want to say you can be strong and skinny, you can be strong and curvy. Doesn't matter what you look like, you can be strong in any way. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So first of all, thanks so much for coming on the show. It's a real pleasure to hang out with you. I know we hang out a lot over Instagram, but now we get to hang out on video.
Yeah.
And can you tell us where we can find you, maybe online programs that you offer and the like?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Kianna Gnap, and that's a GNAP for the last name. I got lots of mobility content, mostly on there, some strength stuff. I have a little free offering if you go to the link in my bio. And then if you ever have any questions, just shoot me a DM, and I'm always happy to help.
Well, so thank you so much for coming on the show. And can we ask a bonus question?
Sure.
How did you get into being such a nerd? For those who don't know, I'm talking about our barefoot fetish that we both share, which is being associated with the Foot Collective and, getting into the whole barefoot world.
Yeah. That was after my marathon when I ran a marathon with like bad plantar fasciitis and I just did it. Foot was screwed up after that. And I think my sister was like, oh, have you seen these guys on Instagram? And I checked them out. And then I enrolled for the Foot Nerd program. And yes, I am officially a nerd now. And always will be.
The real question is, how many pairs of barefoot shoes do you own?
I think 6.
Nice.
You beat me on that one.
I'm actually trying to sell like most of my collection. I have way too many. Anyways, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I hope to see you next time.
Yes. Thanks for having me, Sean.